Hey guys, it's Chris here from Chris's Creative Life, and I design workshops that help you create beautiful projects from start to finish with easy to follow guides. So today, I'm sure you saw all this week, I was sneak peeking the beach party card making workshop cards, and they are so cute. So I thought I would come on and assemble a set of them. I'm just going to add this up at the top here, and then we can get started. So I cut them out and assembled one set. So I always like to try that before so that I can kind of figure out where some people might get stuck, or a few tips to share with you, or maybe a couple of different ideas. So I'm just going to put you down on my desk here. Just give me 1 second here. So let's put you down on the desk. Okay, so I'm going to actually, let's just look at the stamp set because this is stinking cute. So when you order, this is from the new idea book, which is the first quarterly idea book. So it's good for July, August, and September. So this is the cover of it, and it obviously looks super fall when you look at the cover, but inside it kind of spans summer into fall. So let's just give me 1 second here. So literally the second I saw this kit, I knew I was going to have tons of fun with it because I loved it. Penguins are super popular around my house, so that's always a good thing. So first off, I'm just going to, move all that stuff out of the way. Hello, Julie and Cynthia's here and Sarah's here. So for whoever has not seen it, I'm just going to show you where you can find it. So it is page 1213 of this idea book. And like I said, the second I saw it, I knew I was going to love it. I have a couple of ideas. I'm going to kind of assemble them exactly as is, but I have a couple of little things that you could do differently if you wanted to. But they were super easy to cut out. So when you order it, it all comes in a bag like this with the stamp and the thin cut and the instructions. So this is the stamp set, which is very cute. So it's got like the VW van, the popsicles, the flamingo, the little coconut. There's a little piece that's supposed to look like, I think, like bamboo, braided bamboo. This stamp says, "Happy birthday, dude. You're awesome. Have a chillin' birthday. Party on." Then there's the little flamingo, the heart, and the little flower. And I'll say you use every single stamp to make the cards. So that's always a good thing, right? You don't feel like you're not getting any use out of them. And you could totally add these to a scrapbooking page also. We're not going to do that today, but I do have some ideas. So I did my stamping beforehand so they would dry, because the technique with this workshop, they always include a technique. And so this one is adding detail with markers. So I did all my stamping with intense black so that it would dry and I could color with my markers, no problem. So in your bag, you get your paper, your card bases, that stamp set, the thin cuts, and the directions. And so you literally just follow the directions and then assemble the cards. So we're going to do some of that right now. So like I said, I did do some of it beforehand. And then I'll show you, as always, I do what I refer to as like a stamping sheet, and then I keep these all in a binder together. So I stamp the images from a stamp set and then play with them. So I colored these exactly how they explained it in the directions, so that I would just kind of have an idea of how they would look before I started my project. I always make notes about the markers that I've used, or if I've used pencil crayons, then I make a note of that. Like this one over here. Oh, where did I put it now? There. So like this one for the beep, boop, beep, beep, bop. I did one set that are in markers and then one set that are in pencil crayons. So you can see here, right, when I did the pencil crayons, I noted the colors I used. When I used the tri-blend markers, I noted the markers that I used, just to make it easier later when I go to color something. I can look at my sheet and I just file them in like a little coloring binder that I keep. So I did do that for this one. And you can see like I wrote the number on there. So when I was finished cutting, I keep all my extras. This is the bag that they actually came in, but this is just the leftover pieces. So if I made a mistake cutting or I need a little extra to add, I have it right here. So I just cut down the plastic bag because you don't need the big, huge plastic bag. And my extras are in there if we need them along the way, which hopefully I didn't cut wrong and we're not going to need them along the way. So I need my intense black ink though, because we've got some stamping to do. And I'm going to grab my Versamat. So we are going to actually do them in order. So I did pre-color the little images because there's actually quite a bit to putting the cards together. And I thought that might just be a little bit faster. So, but I'll talk about them when we get there. So for this one, this is card number 1. So they use that little coconut stamp set to make it look like the sun. So I need to do that. I'm just going to move these cards to the side. The other thing that I always do is just like when I do a workshop, in my general directions, I always say to like put your layout bases down and add a little post-it note with your number on it. This is the number of the card, and I have all my pieces inside for card number 1. So what you cut out like 4 sets of it. So you would just put all 4 sets onto that pile. Makes it easier. You're not losing little things. So I'm just going to go over my crease again. But we need to stamp and add some marker. So this is a fun little detail right here. So this is the sentiment, and underneath they've used the tri-blend markers on it. So I'm just going to, here's my little scratch sheet. You always want to have, when you're using your tri-blend, something underneath it, because they will, if you like get a lot of ink on them, on your cardstock, it will go through. So this is the gold yellow blend, and I'm just going to do some scribbling on it and set it aside to dry. And then we will stamp that sentiment on top of it. So that's going there. And now we're going to stamp our little coconut there. Let it dry for a few seconds, and then we'll color it. So kind of fun, right, that they took a little coconut and turned it into the sun. So always remember, you can find other uses for your stamps than maybe originally intended. Okay, so I want it to come off of my sheet. So I'm just going to stamp it up in the top corner. You can see actually that's exactly what I did with this sheets before. My little test. . So the only thing is you need to be careful because that line on the top of the coconut will not look like the sun, right? So I'm just making sure that that's off the edge of my white daisy, just like that. So there's that. Okay, so now, and I did color the little van exactly the same as they did. So the next thing we're going to do is they added lots of detail with the markers. So these little dots along here are just the true blue marker and dotted along. So I also thought you could use the robin's egg liquid pearls too, and instead of where they have the dots, or a different color that whatever you have on hand. So we could also do that. I will grab another piece exactly the same from one of my other. I'll just show you how you could do that. So in this envelope, I have my extra copies, right? Like I said, for number 1. So let's just grab a little strip of white daisy. And I am going to grab just oh, here it is. So I'm going to grab something just with a little round end on it. Okay, so I'm just going to put some of the pearls there. Let's see what this looks like. So this is just that multi-tool. So I'm just dipping it and dotting it down. So if you didn't have the true blue marker, or you want kind of just a little bit of a different look, you can also do the same thing with the end of a stylus. I just can't seem to find mine right at the moment. So I'm just dipping it and dotting it down. If you use the tip, you're going to get like a much bigger dot than using something small. You can also use like the end of a pencil, or if you wanted a bigger one, right, the end of your eraser. These dots are obviously much smaller than the tri-blend ones, so they're going to take a little bit longer. But we will see if this dries in time to add it. They're pretty small dots, so they might. So I also grabbed the green, which is the sage, which I thought you could use instead of the light green marker, because they used dots on some of the cards. And so just for something different, I thought we could play with the pearls. For everybody that has pearls and maybe hasn't used them, this might be a good time to pull them out. So I'm just going to set that aside and let it dry, and we'll see if it dries in time. If not, we'll just use the one that we have. Just going to wipe it off so I don't get glue all over myself. Okay. So, but like I said, we do have this one as a backup. And then, okay, so we're going to color our sun. And obviously it is the gold yellow blend. If I could have given even a few more moments to dry, that probably would have been good. I'm going to do a little bit of the medium tone around the outside. And then I'm going to go black back in and blend it a little bit. Okay. Now, the other neat thing that they did is they used the markers to kind of distress the edges. So this is, again, the True Blue, and I'm just going to go around the edge with the marker, and I'm just running it right along the edge. I think it says to use a ruler. I didn't use a ruler, and I didn't have problems. But it just kind of makes everything match nicely. There we go. Oh, and I need to add the sand underneath the little VW van there. And so what I did was I did put it down so that I could decide how high I wanted my sand to go up. So I'm just gonna kind of mark it in here. And actually, of course, I noticed when I was doing this that I need to get a new marker. So I'm sorry for the scratchy noise. And I might have to go over things a few times. Or they might be just a little bit darker. Because I think my light one is basically done. So we're going to go medium and dark on this one. Which is just fine. The sand will just be, or road will be just a little bit darker. I could also swap it out for a different color, but I wanted to keep it relatively close to what it was supposed to look like. Okay. So let's see if these are dry enough. If not, I'm just going to actually not bad. The test will be when I turn it over to see if I can actually get adhesive on it without crushing them. Okay. So then the great part is in the directions, it even tells you like how high to add it up from the bottom. So we are going to start, I think, now assembling the card. So you do add a little doodle line or straight line across the bottom, but I'm going to add my wave piece in first. So This is just like a little mini Versamat that I have lying around. So I actually like my Versamat better, but okay. So then I need to draw my little true blue line underneath. So instead of doing it beforehand, I'm going to do it after, so I know I get it. Even if I put my piece of paper on crooked, right, then I know that my line is going to be crooked to match it, because I'm going to draw it 1/8 of an inch off of my piece of paper. So just like that. And I thought this is super fun little technique. I really liked the outlining of the boxes with the marker and the little bit of details that get added to the card bases with the markers. I don't think that they've done a card workshop like that before. So kind of fun. This is a little skinny piece of Sundance. And then because we did those dots on the white daisy, you can't even tell that you didn't actually do them on your card base when they're assembled, which is kind of neat. I don't think this one with the dots with the liquid pearls is dry enough, so I'm not going to use it because I'll crush them. But like I said, we're going to do some accents in different spots with the pearls too. So totally simple, and you could totally do it with so many different things, right? So we need to stamp our sentiment, and I'm going to add stickles onto my sunshine, but I'm going to wait till it's down on the card so that I don't get stickles on other things. So there's our Sundance piece. The embellishment, and it always comes with its like matching embellishment, which is super fun. So the embellishment with this one is the silver sequins. So I have those ready to go. So on mine, I did pop mine up on thin 3D foam tape. And then I put thick underneath that layer. So I'm going to do the exact same thing. I can hardly wait to mail these cards out because I think they're so cute. They would also make a super great shaker card, all of them. You could use them, turn them very easily into shaker cards. Maybe we'll have to do that. Okay, I want a little bit more blend in here. Just almost so it just kind of blends all together there. Okay, so now we need to stamp our sentiment. So I'm going to have to stand up because that's just not enough. I stand at a stand-up desk, and if I stamp sitting down, sometimes it's just not enough pressure. So again, it's intense black ink. Because that's what I used for coloring, so I'm just going to keep that same ink. I'm just going to set this dotted side piece aside so I don't put my hand in it. Okay, same thing. I'm going to put this on thin 3D foam tape. And then when I attached the two sets of squares, I put them up on the thicker foam tape. The regular versus the thin foam tape. You could totally add doodling. You could add some stenciling into the background. Like I said, there's so many ways that you could totally adapt the cards. Okay, let's flip my Versamat over because I really actually much prefer it for measuring. And like I said, that's one of the great things about the instructions, right? It says this box should be 1/2 inch from the top and 3/4 of an inch from the edge. And when you have it on your Versamat, it's super easy to do that. So how cute is that? So, you know, it is super easy to line everything up with the lines on your Versamat. It makes it like a no-brainer. And then this just kind of gets tucked in here and overlaps. So I'm just going to make sure only to add tape to the outside edge there. And then I can tuck it in how I want to. And then I'm going to add my sequins. So I did add the sequins onto my glue dots before I started, so you guys wouldn't have to watch that part. So quite often if I'm doing like sequins for a whole like scrapbooking workshop, I'll filter through my sequins and I'll add them onto my piece of tape before I even start. And then I can just pick out exactly what I want off of my sheet. Okay, so let's just see if I'm brave enough to do this. So because it's down already, I'm just going to add the pearls over top of where I use the markers, because then this will dry, because I'm going to set it aside. And I'll put the photos of the two things together because I'm not going to touch this now. But that other one would have been hard to put down. Okay, so I just did the pearls in exactly the same spot. And then I'm going to add diamond stickles onto the sun just to make it look more shiny. So this will look still puffy now, but once it's dried, it'll be flat. You could also use like the platinum, which is like the gold that would look more gold versus the diamond, which is just going to add a little shiny layer right on top of my sun and my coloring, right? So I'm going to set this one aside. This is the original. This is the one with the few minor adaptations. Then this one is number 2. So card number 2 is this one with the popsicles. So that is this one. So same thing, right? There's this fun little doodle line here with the light green marker. And these are done with the gold yellow marker. So we're going to do that quickly right now. I'm not sure if I actually have that. You do that first. So I did color my popsicles beforehand, just so you wouldn't have to watch that part. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw my doodle line across the top here, and they just did it with the black journal pen. So I'm going to do that first, and then I'm going to just randomly draw on those little star flowers or whatever they're meant to be. We need to stamp the sentiment. So with this one, I just took, again, the gold yellow blend and just kind of did the little crisscross flowers. And then I added the medium right in the middle. So I know my popsicles are going to go here, right? So I'm not going to do my popsicles there or add any little flowers or in that spot, right? So then I just took, I'm going to do the dark and make a little center. And I thought it just made it define them a little bit more. So I'm going to add the little strips to the bottom before I actually stamp my sentiment on here. So this little skinny Sundance strip goes on first. And then there's a little tiny bit, a little strip of zip strip next. And so I can tell my little flower is gone there. So I'm going to actually add another one. So just a little bit higher. And then just dot it lightly in the middle. Okay, so now I need to stamp the party on. And then we're going to stamp the little, your card base actually gets stamped also. But let's do this first. I always like to use the smallest block possible. So this is that little 1 by 1.5. This, you could also have some fun with stickles on your little flowers too, right? Maybe I'll add just a little bit of diamond stickles on top to give them a little bit of sparkle once the tri-blend is a little bit drier. Now I'm going to add my piece with the beach balls on here first. And then I'm going to do my lines and the stamping. So this is 1 inch from the bottom. So just like this, I can see exactly where the 1 inch is. Okay, so then I'm going to draw my line and then do my stamping. So it's like 1/8 of an inch, I think, below. And there's a line across the top. You could probably also do this with like one of the Le Pens that coordinate too. This one just kind of gives a nice thicker line, right? The Le Pens are a super fine line. Okay, so then I have this capri piece. I'm going to do the stamp across the bottom here in 1 second. But this capri piece goes 1.5 inches from the top. So right here. And then the Sundance piece. And then there's a little tiny flower, and we're going to stamp that with Sundance across the bottom, underneath that green line. And I like to have the green line there for reference. Actually, I can't remember, but I think you're supposed to draw or stamp it first. But I wanted the line so that I know you can't see it on camera because of the lights, but I wanted the line there so I knew where to stamp underneath. So you're just kind of creating a little border with the flower. And I am going to add the liquid pearls in the middle of the flower. You could also color it. I think it would be cute. They didn't. They just left it open, just like a border. Maybe I'll just use the marker instead in the center. You could also add the same border at the top and the bottom. And because it's clear, I can see where the last flower is. And then I can just wipe off whatever I got on my Versamat there. So now we have the flowers on there. I'm just going to take the gold yellow blend and I'll do centers in those flowers. And the medium, like the mid-tone, is almost a perfect match for the ink. So just like that. Okay, so now let's see, this is flat. I'm just trying not to put it back in the spot I just wiped with my wet wipe. And then this is 1 3/4 from the top. So I think we're going to put this on 3D foam tape. I'll add those little popsicles on, and then I'm going to add some stickles on them for sure. And so 1 3/4 is right there. Okay, and then my first popsicle I'm going to put on flat, just like that. And then this one I'm going to pop up. But before I add the second one on, I'm just going to add some stickles to my popsicle here underneath. And it'll be fine because the other one is like hovering over top of it. So I'm not going to do the stick part. I'm just going to do the popsicle part. You could also just do the heart. The heart, you could also color the heart on the popsicle with pearls. There's the red color that would look great right on the hearts. The carnation red, you could totally do that on those hearts. So then I will add my sequins. And like I said, I just put these on glue dots before, but I would just normally pick out the ones that I wanted and add them right on the glue dots as I went. So, and these are just like 3 of the different sizes of so there we go. There's one with a little bit of sparkle on it. And like I said too, this would be great with, well, why don't I do that? I'll just add a little bit of stickles on top of where I colored them. So I'm just going to dot the flowers. And when this dries, they'll just now have coordinating sparkly centers. So there we go. That's card number 2. Okay, I think now we are at card number 3, which is the super cute one with the coconut. So hopefully I have enough ink in my marker to, oh, I did color the coconut already. That's good. Okay, so here's the fun thing. So you can see how the dots are with the tri-blend marker on the original. We're going to do the dots. This is one of those times where I can actually add the dots after, right? So we're going to add them on here with the pearls. So I'm just going to add this back piece on here. And then we're going to create our middle section. So I'm just going to add then the capri piece. And then above it is the little Sundance piece, and you just Wait, I need my white piece down first. Okay, so same thing here. We're going to do the outline with the light green marker. And so let's just get our scrap piece of paper again. Move this up. So I literally just ran the marker right along the edge. So you can see it just stayed right on there. Because it just kind of goes right in the little groove. And then I went from the inside if I wanted it a little bit wider. So this one, because there's the doodle line around it in black too, I wanted a little wider to give me room to add the black. Okay, so I'm going to give this a few seconds to dry before I do the black doodle line. So we're going to do that same thing where we color the background, and this little white piece also gets stamped with the basket weaving across it. So that is Sundance. And that fits on the teeny tiniest little block there. Just like that. So now we need the sentiment there. And then this tag, you trim it off from the rectangle. So I'm just going to mark the two pieces so that they are the same. So I think it was like 1/2 inch at the top and 3/4 inch at the side. And then you can just literally go from one pencil mark to the other. And then we just use the zip strip to make a pretend little tie there. So you can either do this like I just did this on the side I'm going to attach down, but you could also just make it and then flip it, right? So, and there's also doodle lines on the tag. So we'll do those. So I'm just following the edge and I'm not going quickly. And if they're not perfect, it doesn't really matter. They are supposed to be doodle lines. So there's lots of different ways to do it. I do find going like away from myself better. So while we're doing doodle lines, we'll add them onto here too. Also, if you have a really hard time, if you break them up, you can, some people find it much easier to get it straight. Or if you go crazy crooked, just add a second line on top of it that's crooked also, and then you, it's just more whimsical. And it looks like you did your dips on purpose. Okay, so now I think we've actually done all the prep steps. So let's add this white daisy piece. Oh no, I need to snap that still. That's okay. Don't think you guys have seen the last of these after today. I might have some other ideas up my sleeve, as always. Okay, so that I can just give a second to dry. And now we're going to add this back in again. And so it was 2 1/4. So right about here. And then just going to dovetail this piece, one end. I like to cut up the middle and then go in from the 2 sides. You can also fold it in half. There's also another super easy way to do the dovetail. I'm just going to overlap it just slightly over the capri. Okay, so now I'm going to add my tag where I want it, and then I'm going to add my faux ribbon with that skinny piece of zip strip. So I'm going to go like right there, and then I'm just going to cut a little. So they have you cut the piece fully, so you can actually, like, if you want, bend it in half so you would know how long you need it. And then actually just cut it apart. So you're just kind of making like an invisible hole there. Just like that. And then my Sundance piece. And it fits just inside your doodle lines there. I'm going to add this piece on thin 3D foam. And then I'm going to add the coconut on with thick 3D foam. And like I said, I'm going to do the doodle dots with the pearls instead. But they are just with the markers in the original. So just like that. Super cute. Okay, so I'm going to add my sequins first so that when I add my pearls, I can just set it aside to dry. So on this one, I use the iridescent ones. So they just kind of have that fun little sparkle to them. Okay. So you could actually probably even use the carnation red, but like I said, I'm going to use the sage and I'm going to do the dots in kind of exactly the same way that I did with the markers. So I'm just lightly touching it down. And then 3 over here. So they're just a little bit brighter than the tri-blend dots. But like I said, you want to set this aside to dry. The tri-blends are like, you can probably drop it in the mail right away. Okay, last one. Card number 4 with the super cute little penguin with his balloon. So this should be a quick and easy one. So I did just color the penguin and same thing. So they have the dots. So we'll do the same thing with the pearls on this one. So this one also has the marker around the edge. So we'll do that. And then the marker underneath our sentiment also. So just by switching out a few embellishments, you can have some total fun with the cards. So, like I said, don't think we're done. You will see these in some form again. So I'm actually going to add my backgrounds on here first, and then we will prepare the middle. So just the Sundance, and then the water paper. Okay, so they have added doodle lines onto those 2 pieces. So we're going to do that really quickly with the Capri and the candy apple. Okay, we're going to add our marker on here so it has a second to dry before we try and stamp it. So we're going to draw with the True Blue marker around the edge. And then we need to stamp our little hearts with the saffron ink. So same thing. And this one too, I did a little bit thicker. It almost like makes it look like it's matted in Capri, and it's really not, which is kind of fun. Like I said, I really like this technique. Okay, so now, and I'm going to pop, so we have to draw the grass. So you just kind of want to put your flamingo. I am going to just put like literally the smallest amount of adhesive on there just because I don't want it to move. I'm going to do my hearts first, and then I'm going to take them up, sorry, and add my grass underneath him. I think I want to make them a little bit higher though, so that there's some room for the grass underneath him. So like I said, it's just literally the tiniest amount. So now I'm just going to stamp those cute little hearts in there. I'll grab our sentiment stamp, a little heart. like I said, I love when you use all the stamps on something. Okay, so we will stamp our "You're Awesome." Okay. So you can see I can easily do the one up here. And the one by his bum. And by doing these and then taking him off and doing the grass, I kind of already know, because I know how he fits in here, right? That's where he goes back. And like I said, I'm going to pop him up on 3D foam. But I'm just going to now draw some grass. So I just made a couple of little marks for myself so that I know approximately where I want the grass to be. And then I can test him back out to see if I want to add more. And I'm just going to add a little bit more down there. And then I'm just going to add really just lightly, like whimsically, a few little stems of grass. Okay. And then I'm going to put him on. And I think, no, we'll use, let's see what we have here. I just want the narrower of the foam tape for his skinny little legs. So, and the nice thing about this, the new 3-month idea book, is that it'll be around for a while, right? So, but I will say this is my favorite card making kit from that idea book, for sure. And I think these cards could very easily be like feminine or masculine, right? So I'm gonna add him right there. Okay. So now we have our card base. And I'm just going to see where we're supposed to add our strips because I don't 100% remember. But, okay, so the first one, which is the Capri one, is like 1 1/4. And then just literally centered. And then just like 1/8 of an inch spacing between them. And that just slid. There we go. So then the little tiny zip strip is here in the middle. So just like 1/8 of an inch below that one. And then the candy apple. And then we're going to add this guy on there now. Just like that. And then we have our sentiment for the bottom. And then, like I said, I'm going to add my dots again with the pearls instead of the tri-blends. I'm going to pop my sentiment up again. There we go. Okay, so they did green and pink. So let's see if this one is good enough. Ballerina. It kind of looks like a flamingo color. Okay, guys. Oh, and I'm going to add the diamond stickles onto the balloon to give it some sparkle. Because that's where I figured the sparkle would be on this card. Oh, and the sequins we need to add. There we go. Okay. Final stretch. Through there. So on this one, I used white. So, like I said, I thought they were super cute. So I didn't really want to like drastically change all of them, but I thought this was just kind of a few fun little adaptations that you could make or add if you wanted. And like I said, I do have some more ideas, so you will probably see these come back. So I'm going to pull them all back into the camera. So here's the color of pearls that I use. So I used the sage pearls, the robin's egg, the ballerina, and then for stickles, I use the diamond. Diamond is my favorite stickle, so if ever in doubt, I'll add diamond stickles. And then, like I said, you could easily use the carnation on the little hearts on the popsicles. That would be great. So I'll move this out of the way and bring them all back in. So there's the original, and then the adapted card number 4. And then this is card number 3, the original, and then with the fun little tweaks. And then card number 2, which I love. I always love stickles on anything, and popsicles are no different. And then, so just on here, it now looks almost like a little bit like gold glitter. So too, if you ever needed to add like an embellishment that you wanted gold glitter, if you use that gold yellow marker and then add the diamond stickles on top, you kind of get that same look. And then here is the first one with those dots, robin eggs dots across them, and the stickles on the sun. Okay, guys, that's what I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I am sure you will see me back soon. Talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.